Live. And it's live on air.
Okay,
Apparently.
so
Here we are. It's just kind of like switching back and forth between the two of us, I guess.
so where is it broadcasting? Do you have a link?
It didn't give me a link. Links. YouTube page. There we go.
And whatever it gives you, just post it like on all of our walls and see if anyone.
It's working.
It's working. So we're streaming live.
We are streaming live. Oh man, this is going to be a rough start.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, but we got it going.
Yeah, we got it going. It's moving. It may not be moving smoothly, but it's moving. So, so can you invite people to the?
Yeah, I
All right,
should be able to. Did that pause me?
No.
Okay. Still trying to figure out. Come on, computer. Okay, first step. I have to re-sign into everything. I'm not used to using Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave you the YouTube link though, right?
No.
In the chat. Did you click on the chat?
Hold on.
It's like nine. Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have that.
Really? It's right here.
I'm on my phone now too, so it may not.
Do you have the chat?
I don't think it lets me do that on my phone. Yeah, I don't have that.
Okay, I'm just posting it to Facebook and I'll send you the link.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting for my computer to reboot, and then I can hop on Facebook and
there we go.
So post it on my wall, post it wherever you want to post it, so that everyone knows where we're at, and then come watch the melee.
See what this turns into.
Yeah, well, I have a conference call site that I joined today, and on that conference call site, we can actually record the shows and download them as MP3.
Oh, that's cool.
So we can share them, and we can like post them in places and put them on blogs and stuff. And people can call in and join in the call also. So, and I think I can do it. It's like not even a third of what Blog Talk cost, and I can set up an 800 number so we don't have to like use their minutes or whatever to call in. So it'll be even easier.
Well, the YouTube is live. I tagged you in a video, so hopefully,
yeah, let's see what happens.
Things will get going, and your video just disappeared.
All right, hold on. I wanted to see what link you posted. All right. So, no fancy music to start or anything.
Well, let's sing.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So we'll give people a few minutes to see if they'll join in the
following
along with the mess here.
Send a YouTube link.
It's geez, I think solving the Ebola problem would be easier.
I think it will be. Figuring out Google's crazy
Yeah,
convoluted thing.
it's not easy.
So we had to
to
go through the Google Live Hangout is how it works.
Google Live Hangout. Okay,
Mhm.
it's okay, which is
Yeah.
different than Google On Air.
No, sorry, Google On Air is the live
Okay,
Hangout. It's different than Google Hangout.
right. Interesting. Ah,
Yep. It's always something.
not. Yeah, it is always something. But I checked Blog Talk earlier, and it was still like just
Not working.
not. Yeah, it just wasn't cooperating. Like I couldn't build out the show notes and stuff, so it was just not even worth the trouble.
Yeah. No,
So
I don't know. I think that if we can get this working, this would be a cool one to use.
yeah, this would be a better alternative. We can do this and then the conference call. It'd be easier. And I think once we're done, like you have the YouTube link, and then we can post a YouTube link like as the after shows, who can like watch the show itself.
Okay, that makes
So,
sense.
so kind of like we have the archive. This would be our new archive.
Yeah, I don't think that this saves it. I think it's just a live stream and then it'll be over.
Are you watching the live stream?
No, I'm not, but I've got feedback saying that it is live and running.
Okay.
So
All
so
right.
it's working. But the one thing is it like switches back and forth
Yeah.
like really dramatically.
That's the one thing about Google Hangouts is the shifting. I think it's kind of neat because they know who's talking, like when it goes back and forth like that. So it's kind of a neat thing. I know that Skype also has a function for us to be able to do like these kind of Hangouts as well.
That would be
like a
cool
conference
to figure
call.
out.
And then like it has the ability to record it, I think too. So I don't know. We'll play around the systems and we'll figure out something that'll work.
That'll make it work. But we're here today. So
yeah,
let's
we're here.
get it.
Let's
get
just get going and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. I posted the stuff on Facebook, so hopefully some people will join in. Anyone who is watching, if anyone's watching, then share it as you wish, because we don't know how any of this works. We are clueless.
And if you want to join the chat, I mean, come on and join the Google chat too.
Both the links are up.
So if you're out there watching, you want to join in the conversation, feel free to join in the conversation with us, because that's what we like. We like people to join the conversation.
And now you can hopefully jump in and we can talk a little more face to face with this format, which would be kind of cool
we can actually
to play around with.
See you guys instead of just assuming you're there and then me checking the numbers after the
show is done, seeing who is actually there.
Seeing who's actually there. Yeah, now we can actually see who's there. All right, so let's just jump into some topics since we're here and since we're just still playing around the system. So first off, thank you everyone for your patience in like all of this chaos. As we figure out what we're doing here with this new format, I think this will be better. I think this will be a lot better for us to use. I think it's going to be much more
engaging.
Yeah, it's going to be much easier for us to interact with people. But definitely want people to join in the conversation if they can. So what are we going to talk about tonight?
I don't know. I guess I'm still having effects from, I did the flotation tank on Monday.
So tell everyone about the flotation tank. What's that all about?
So just to explain for people that don't know, a float tank it's essentially a fancy isolation chamber. It's about 10 inches of water, and then it's got about usually just under 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt mixed into that filtered water. So you're going to be buoyant. You're not going to have to worry about like flailing around in the water and keeping balanced. You're just going to float perfectly on the surface. It's kind of half your body in the water, half your body in the air. Then the water and the air are both heated to skin temperature, which is roughly around 95 degrees. So it's a really comfortable temperature, and it's pretty difficult to distinguish the difference between the water and the air. So it feels like you're just floating in space.
Hmm.
Then this is all taking place inside a soundproof and light-proof box, essentially. It's
Wow.
you close yourself in there and you float. You float for, they usually go in hour sessions. This is my first time trying it, but I've heard so much about it that I just wanted to go as go as deep as I could. So I did 2 hours in the float tank, and it was awesome. It was, the way that I would describe it is like a forced meditation. It
Forced
was
meditation.
forced meditation. Yes, it's. I kept slipping away. Like it was like the closest thing I could describe is like falling asleep,
Hmm.
but I'm still awake during the whole thing.
Right.
So it was this really weird phenomena that I'm not used to feeling. And then on top of the floating sensation, not having any weight of gravity or anything on your neck and back and legs and arms, it's a freeing feeling. It's actually almost uncomfortable at first because you're not used to that feeling of weightlessness.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
so it takes a little while to settle in, takes a little while to kind of calm yourself down, but once you do, you lay there. Your eyes can be open, your eyes can be closed. It does not make a difference because there is no light, no light at all. And did 2 hours in there, and I came out of there feeling like I had just slept for 12, 15 hours. It's like a really long, deep sleep. But it was something that I definitely want to do again and would like to incorporate into my life as much as possible. So
Well, that sounds exciting.
yeah,
I mean,
so
those kinds of things are always fun to
that was
do.
that. It was a fun thing that I've heard a lot about. I've heard other people on podcasts and radio shows and seen a couple like little mini documentaries on it. Vice
Mhm.
did a nice little documentary on it. But they live up to the hype in my books. Is the best way to put it. But the
So
one
it's well
thing
worth
that
it
I will
then.
say, yeah, but the one thing that I will say was being in Chicago, being in a big city yesterday. So I did this on Monday. So on Tuesday, it was almost like I was having sensory overload. Like I got overwhelmed by things very easily. I was having a really hard time concentrating. I was hyper aware of every single person's conversation on the subway. So I take
Hmm.
the subway to school. It's about usually 35 to 40 minutes that I'm on that each direction.
Right.
And I couldn't tone out anyone's conversations. Like as much as I tried, even with headphones in, I was still
Hmm.
picking up other people's conversations perfectly. Like I was trying to ignore them, trying not to listen,
Right.
but I couldn't tone it out. And
Hmm.
it became overwhelming by the end of the day. And I just had to go home and just like turn off everything and just kind of lay there for a little bit. And that was a
Wow.
really weird experience.
Yeah, well, I guess once you're in sensory deprivation for so long, I guess it's going to, it's going to have some impact on your senses when you come back to full consciousness and you step back into reality. It's going to have some impact, I guess, on
Yeah, exactly.
how you move through the world. But that's what meditation should do for us. That's like what the effects should be when we step into and out of those meditative states. It's allowing us to have that release. But when we come
Yep.
back in, it really is like our we're heightened in how we perceive the world.
Yeah.
So it allows us to come back into our spaces with a lot more clarity and a lot more presence, because that's all the stuff you're missing when you're not present.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had a forced presence. So you're like,
Yeah.
coming into presence.
it just kind of threw me into that space that I'm not really used to, because I was using this as the kickoff to get back into doing some more mindful practicing. So like I hadn't been doing any real meditation or anything. I hadn't really turned off any electronics or reading or just information dump in a while.
Right.
So it was like much needed, but almost too much at like just to do like all of a sudden.
Right.
Just to kind of throw myself into. But so it made it the integration process afterwards was a little bit difficult, but definitely worth it now that I've kind of worked through it.
Right. So what do you feel? You feel something you would do again?
Absolutely.
Are you gonna do it consistently, or are you just gonna like?
Yeah. The thing holding me back from the consistency is it's not cheap.
Like, how much is it?
They have this place in Chicago has a nice student price, which is still $35 an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess in the long run, though, it's not that much. Like I charge $110 an hour.
Yeah.
I guess it's like it's cheaper than seeing me.
But you get to interact with people. You're paying for
That's true.
That's part true. Of the you almost give not performance, but just like that interaction with you always kind of leaves you.
It leaves you feeling like you were in a deprivation tank.
But except the opposite, because you're just talking the entire time.
So it is a lot more interactive, I think. But yeah, I think you get that interaction with yourself when you're in the deprivation tank. You know, because I've had similar experiences where I've gone into sonic massage and have had deprivation experiences, but it gets to be intense because you are completely detaching from all of that junk for a while.
Yeah, and that was what I needed.
It can be scary though, because you start to lose touch with reality, and not in a way, because like when you're on drugs and you're losing touch with reality, you kind of expect it, because like you take mushrooms and you know that at some point they're gonna kick in and you're gonna lose. But this is like you're conscious. You're not like doing anything to take you out of consciousness. And they said there's this room at some college, I forget where it is, but it's like the most soundproof room in the world.
Okay. Oh, I've heard like little things about that. Yeah.
And from my understanding is I think no one can do more than 20 seconds in the room because it's so quiet that you can hear your own blood flowing through your body. So,
it's like overwhelming.
Yeah, it's like an overwhelming silence. So I had a friend of mine who did this deprivation tank in Atlanta. And I guess it's kind of the same kind of thing that you did, but it's hypersalinated water. You get in it, but they put them in like this big cocoon. And they're like, I guess they play sounds, but she said what happened was it kind of felt like at some point you cease to exist and you've entered the void. Because they do these tones that come in and they kind of
like the resonant frequency.
Yeah, it's like, and then all of a sudden there's silence, so it's kind of like, it's like a guided meditation into the unknown, but eventually it's like you're just in the void.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of a neat thing, I don't know. I haven't done anything like that, but
yeah, because have you done any? You haven't. So you haven't done any.
Not like that.
You were telling me.
Well, when I was in
that went down to New Orleans. And
when I went down to New Orleans, I did a deprivation experience where these people had like this lawn chair set up, and around the lawn chair they had gongs and chimes and singing bowls, and you put on. Alex Gray makes these sight deprivation glasses, and and then they start chiming. And you feel the sonic massage take effect, like it's moving across your body. And, you hear the chimes, and you hear a little bit of the ambient noise in the background, but at some point, you do slightly lose touch with that sense of reality. And you drop off into the abyss.
I feel like the noise, like the tones mixed with the the light and touch kind of deprivation would be an interesting thing to play with.
Yeah.
Probably give it a different approach.
It really does. It's interesting when you get down to it, because it's something that takes us just right off the edge, just for a little bit, which is really neat, because I think we don't get enough of that. Like even with meditation, a lot of us don't have the training to completely step out or step away from that experience of being fully present. So it's nice, and we can really just let go, and have like a mechanism, or like I call these like spiritual technologies that allow us to release and come back into a place where we are not getting high, but we're not in reality either. So
yeah, exactly. It's like it's satisfying that release from the reality that we're in, but still staying in it at the same time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it is so important for us to have those moments of release. But meditation allows us to do that. So I hope everyone out there at least meditates a few minutes each day.
Yeah, because that's what I've started to do. Is I just do 12 minutes in the morning, just to kind of start to ease my way back into it. I've started doing 12 minutes of meditation, then I'll do 15 minutes of just free writing. This is all after, when I first wake up, I'll drink a glass of water and write down in a dream journal, I guess. Mm-hmm. So just any dream that I can remember, any part of it, or just whatever feeling that I have when I wake up, trying to remember dreams a little bit better.
Right.
Then I'll do the meditation, I'll do the writing, and then I found this 30-day yoga YouTube series. So it's like a YouTube video every day. It's 20 minutes or something. But just to get into the practice of having more of a routine in the morning. So the whole thing, it's about an hour in the morning I spend just kind of on me. So that's been something nice that I've been doing this week, that I've definitely can see myself easily keeping up with.
Right.
Because it's not that hard, especially breaking it up into those small little sections. I feel like it's been very helpful in just kind of keeping myself a little bit more calm and centered throughout the day. Not getting annoyed as easily, not freaking out over things and getting stressed out like I've found myself doing recently, especially with the workload of school. So
yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
And now we have Ebola.
You gotta go there. Yep.
Yeah, we might as well, because it's here, and not talking about it doesn't make it not be here.
Really? I thought, can't we just ignore it and it'll just go away?
Well, I just found it just so puzzling that all of a sudden, here's Ebola in the United States. It just seems a little fishy to me. I don't know. I've been talking to people about this over the past few days, because now it's just such in the media now. But what I find interesting, and we can even just put aside the whole conspiracy idea for a second.
Okay.
But let's say this is a real thing, a real deal.
Yep.
Why did we not place any travel restrictions? Why did we not roll out a plan for the hospitals to address this if it ever did make it here?
Well, I think we did. I thought there was talk about hospitals having plans set up. I thought the CDC was working on that right around the last 2 weeks when that was happening.
No, because that became the issue with this thing. It's the nurses in the hospital that the guy was in let him go. He told them that he came here from Liberia or wherever he came from in Africa, And
They're just like, all right, you're fine.
well, he was in the emergency room, and I guess they didn't put one and one together and make two. And then he went out for like 4 days between the time that. So I guess it's not transmittable until you're actually sick.
Yeah, it's got a
So
21-day incubation, up to 21-day incubation period.
yeah, it's between 8 and 21 days. So it
Yeah.
depends. So which is still kind of scary. And there is a thought that, because some people say, oh, it's not airborne, but if you sneeze, if you,
Yeah, if you get your fluids onto someone, then
yeah,
it can still move through air. It's not like you have to like rub a bloody cut on someone's face in order to get them
or you go take a poo and you
sick.
don't wash your hands.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it is transmittable. And, I guess he had contact with children, and I guess those
oh man,
children were in school with other kids. So, but I mean, to think that this is the one we found, like
They're-
how many other people are traveling right now that we don't know, who else, and not to like spread fear, but like if there is one, there's going to be two. And if there's two,
yeah,
there's, and the fact that the government's like, oh, we'll contain this. Well, we've been fighting the HIV virus for 21, 25, 26, 27 years now, 28 years, 30 years. It's like we've been fighting like these other illnesses for much, much longer. And I've just found it fishy that all of a sudden there's a vaccine,
is there a vaccine now?
Well, I saw like they're rolling out tests,
Yeah, because that was the
test
thing about like the
vaccines.
H1N1 virus that made me like what? Like that was that the fact that they got a vaccine for it so quickly. Oh, there's the cat.
Yeah, I see the cat back there. It's crazy. Yeah, I just think I'm just like waiting for them to say like everyone has to go get this vaccine. It's gonna be some like
Yeah.
mandatory thing. All citizens report to your local CVS.
I'm just gonna hide out in the countryside.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go get no stupid vaccine.
No,
I
I mean
mean,
it's like with the flu virus. It's I just like the casual flu that people go get the flu shot for every year.
so check
I
this out.
stopped getting it.
So this is the new like the thing here, and I'm actually gonna turn. We're gonna do something cool this time because I can actually do this. So the thing says here, Ebola patient vomited outside the apartment. So so he vomited like all over the place. So not
So how
only
long is it alive for while it's
I don't know, long enough, I bet. It's just so like this story just keeps getting like stranger. You know.
yeah.
It's like he now now he vomited. I mean, now it's like I'm just waiting to see how long they're gonna take this to like ISIS did this. I'm just waiting.
He actually just converted to Islam.
It would not surprise me. They're like, ISIS weaponized this, and like this guy's a member of ISIS, and they're trying to kill us with biological warfare. Let's just go bomb Assad, which and that's how they do it. It's like when Assad had nothing to do with like ISIS. So it's like that's what they're gonna do. It's like yeah, let's go get them, and then like we're gonna jump over here, and then we're gonna jump over there, and then like now we're like in Iran. It's like
Yeah, well
what
apparently
Iran?
we just bombed Yemen?
I don't know,
I
man.
just
I had
yeah,
to turn
that's
off
I
the
was
news
so
because
I
it
was
was like,
watching John Oliver did a really good segment recently on the drones,
mhm.
and he was talking apparently we sent some drones over to Yemen.
Wow.
Was not aware of that. Yeah, that's in the I just posted that in the Namaste group earlier
That's.
today.
I mean, did you? I mean, it's just this is just all been getting crazy. And Nitwit Netanyahu has been. He went to the UN Council and was like basically defending Israel's actions in Gaza. It was pretty disgusting to watch because he was basically saying like, poor Israel and
Oh
woe is
really?
us and like Hamas. This is what he said. This is where it got really interesting. Hamas is ISIS and ISIS is Hamas. So it's like when we're done bombing, Syria, we should just go ahead and bomb Gaza because that's ISIS also. They're just the same thing. And how and of course like I'm pretty sure like Hamas isn't the greatest. But, when you look at like what he was defending, he's like, our children in Israel are bombarded every day by these bombs. But it's like, from my
I
understanding,
haven't heard of any getting hit.
no. Yeah. I think the casualty they say was like, it was like not even like in the hundreds, on Israel's side, and it was like in the thousands, like on the Gaza side.
Yeah.
So I mean, in any conflict, there's going to be, but I think self-defense is like a whole different thing, and
Yep.
just the way he was like just so pompous, you can almost see the darkness like oozing off of him, and it's just getting to a point now where like, I think the world is reacting to all the craziness, and like it's just gonna kill us all. It's like
Oh, you've got so little hope. You're
it's like
getting
screw it. We're just gonna like, because I mean there's this enterovirus that's affecting kids here, like on the
the cough thing, right?
yeah, it's just crazy. It's so many little things that are showing up like this, and it's like, what else? Like, what's next? Like, are we gonna like find some like nuclear bomb somewhere now? Like, is that like the?
Well, aren't there already some missing?
There are some, and the thing that like really is getting me is that it's we're so focused on Ebola now. Like, what are we not paying attention to? Because like
Yep.
it's almost like this was such a diversion from the war. The whole, like, no one's talking about Syria right now. Everyone's talking about Ebola.
Yeah. And then even further back, no one's talking about Fukushima, which is still leaking radiation
Yeah.
that we just kind of forgot about. It's like, hey, remember, we still got like this whole cloud of just like radiated water just floating across the Pacific.
And there's still tons of oil in the Gulf Coast
Yep.
from the whole BP oil disaster.
Yeah, and then the stuff that they used on the BP on the oil in order to like disperse
Toxic.
it just ended up putting it down on the bottom of the ocean.
And from my understanding, too, a lot of stuff they were using were also pretty toxic.
Yeah, they cause
Um,
like burns and like scarring on people apparently.
yeah, so it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of
Yep.
thing. I don't think we have a full grasp of like what's going on. I think it's just so much happening so quickly that none of us can really get a foothold on this. It's kind of scary. So maybe we should all just go into deprivation chambers.
Just go into deprivation tanks. We'll just
It'll
get
be
some
all right.
Oculuses. We'll just join each other up on a Google Hangout and just stay there forever.
Yeah, I think that might be the best option
Yeah.
because it
Join the
seems like,
singularity.
yeah, well, I don't know, because like here's the thing, right? So like we go into singularity and then someone gives us all one big old virus and kills us all, Like,
At least we go out happy
I
and
don't know.
unaware.
Yeah, it's true. I guess like it's yeah, I just think it's so fun. Like I'm thinking about this guy vomited outside his apartment on the way to the
Yeah.
hospital. Like in my head I'm like, the fact that this is gonna be all over the news and people are just gonna start freaking out. Oh, did he like take a poop in like the public bathroom? Did he like sneeze on something? It's just gonna get so crazy. And
Yeah,
I
I
have a
mean,
feeling this is just the start. Because
yeah. Well,
what's
I mean, I told
yeah,
I told my I told my father, I'm like, hey, as soon as it hits over a couple dozen Ebola patients like in the U.S. that didn't travel out of the country, I'm out of here. Like I'm going somewhere where I'm not telling a lot of people and just hiding out.
it might be the best thing to do. Because I think what I find interesting too, and where I feel like this is bigger than they're telling us, is that they did issue instructions to all the funeral homes on how to process dead Ebola people. So it's,
Burn them.
well, I don't know. Like, but the fact that they're warning the funeral
The
homes
funeral homes.
tells you something.
Well,
You
now
know?
they can use, wasn't the FEMA camps a couple of years back that everyone was talking about, all the coffins that they had ordered or that they
Yep.
had. It was all those pictures everywhere of the FEMA camps with like the barbed wire facing in and
Yeah, like
playgrounds inside. And
maybe this is what they were building up to. You know, maybe this was like their deal. They were like, well, we couldn't get them with like FEMA stuff, so let's get them with Ebola. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if like someone like released Ebola out into the world like this. You
the thing
know,
that I just couldn't understand is how would anyone benefit from that?
well, you figure like big pharma's going to benefit because they had to come up with the solution, so they're going to get funding from the government to do that. Um,
Okay.
um, Medical systems will benefit because they have to provide care. Um, you know, government systems will benefit because they will be the ones offering the solutions, so they can direct funds towards whatever they need to direct funds for. Because when we enter those emergency statuses, funds can go where they need to go without question.
But wouldn't it just like pretty quickly resort to close to anarchy right away? Like,
No, because this is what the whole David Icke thing that he talks about. You know, problem, reaction, solution. You know,
yeah.
they create a problem. We have a reaction that says save us, and they offered their solution, but they caused the problem initially. So they're going to be the ones that will offer the solution that will best benefit them and not best benefit us. You know, like the solution will be everyone needs to get inoculated now. You know, everyone has to get it done. You know, um, so they're going to force people to start doing these vaccinations, and who knows what's in? Like people don't even know what's in the flu vaccine. So you know, and you're going into a CVS with someone who can't explain to you what they're giving you.
Yeah,
Um,
they don't even know.
so what are we going to do with like Ebola? Like, are we going to like, you know? And then really, once it like just a handful of people is all you need to like make this thing really big, you know? And I wouldn't
Yep.
even put it past like, you know, if I were running some big organization, I would just infect people and send them off. You know, that's what you would do if you were really a terrorist organization that was hell bent on destroying populations. You get a few people sick, send them out into populated cities, and you don't tell them they don't go to the hospital. You just get sick and cough on people, like shit on things, and like you know,
Just
you
get a
know.
crazy person, just stab them, stick them with like a little pinprick with the virus on it, and just
Well,
send
like
them on
you
their
know,
way.
well that's what. But these people, like these radicals, you know, they're already into the whole suicide thing. You know, and by the time they get to the hospital, there's no telling how many people they could infect. So,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, and that's what happens. Like the whole HIV/AIDS thing started with just a few people.
yeah,
Now look, you know,
it's
it's
all
it's
over.
terrifying. Yeah, it's pretty terrifying how fast something can spread.
Yeah,
Um, and how and like even and they don't talk about it much, but even HIV and AIDS have evolved. Like there are
new strains.
new strains of the virus because it evolves as we evolve and as we find ways to combat it. It evolves around the because it wants to survive. So it's an organism that wants to thrive. So it will evolve in order to do that. And there were some strains that were killing people like twice as fast. You know, so what's to say that Ebola can't evolve? You know, and the whole like avian flu and stuff like that
Yeah,
stuff like it wasn't that bad like SARS. I mean it was bad, but it wasn't like this. Like Ebola's already killed like
couple
thousands of people,
thousand.
so it wasn't like avian flu killed like avian flu killed like in the tens of people, you know, or like
Hmm.
maybe a couple hundred people. And SARS, I think around that too, it was like low numbers, but like Ebola's already killed thousands of people with the potential to kill like millions of people.
Yeah, they
So
were saying like 1.3 million by January was some numbers that I
yeah,
was reading.
and they're really downplaying the whole like, oh, this isn't too bad, like we'll contain this. Well, the fact that it's here says we didn't really do a good job.
Just in time for flu season.
Right. How convenient, that it's going to be during
Yeah.
flu season so that
People
we can
are,
all.
I've already seen people sniffling, and a couple people apparently have food poisoning.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too, and one of my friends told me this, that a lot of the people these kids that have gotten the enterovirus were ones that were vaccinated, but the ones that weren't vaccinated aren't getting it.
They were vaccinated for flu or
No,
for
they had all their vaccinations. Like they get their kids have to go through a series of
yeah.
vaccinations and stuff. Now I haven't verified this, but my friend he's pretty up on this stuff. He said that most of the kids that have gotten it were kids that had all their vaccinations, but the kids that weren't vaccinated weren't getting it.
See, vaccinations are such a hard thing for me. Like,
Yeah.
because like polio, that polio vaccination, polio's pretty much gone. Like,
Well, that's the thing though, is the difference is
that was a
back
different time.
then it was a different time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a different level of trust in the medical system. And they were really trying to figure this stuff out. But even like look at the Tuskegee Airmen. You had
Yeah.
these men who were purposely infected, and then not even a few years ago we found out we did that again in some Central American country. So we are not beyond testing on people.
No,
And
by no means.
so I totally understand like the need for vaccination, but when you have like mercury, I mean, there's stuff that's in these vaccinations that
Like,
serve no purpose.
I
You
don't
know,
want-
so explain why those ingredients are there, and no one really explains that. They just say you have to get it. Well, why do I have to put mercury into my child?
like that. Yeah.
You're not
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
them a vaccination. You're giving them like a bunch of crap that's going to cause them harm. If you really look at, this is getting kind of David Icke on it. But
Okay.
if you really look at it, like if we start giving our youth these dumbing down drugs, it keeps them in control, because that generation, like beyond your generation, that's the
Yeah.
one that's going to make all the changes happen, and that's the one we have to stop. That's why right now, like all the schools are on the standardized thing. Like there's no flexibility for creativity. Everything is becoming so much more structured in getting kids dumbed down.
Yeah.
Like give them as many video games as you can. Like do all this stuff that takes them out of like the thinking mode. Get them out of actual interaction with people. It's like give them as much fast food as they can eat. So it's like it's very targeted, these campaigns you see, like advertising campaigns, and that's scary, and this is why like the indigo kids are the ones that have parents that really support that whole idea that these kids are coming in much more tuned in. They're vital, because those are the ones that are going to break through.
Mm-hmm.
But dumbing down of America, I mean, it's just like it's happening left and right. I mean, the fact that parents feed into a lot of the hype, and then that spills down into the kids, because the kids don't have any control over their direction.
What they do. Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of scary. You think about the bigger implication, like if that generation is dumbed down to the point where they can't make positive decisions on how the world will change, those in power will stay in power, because those people aren't getting the same stuff everyone else is getting. I read somewhere like there's some members of the CDC who won't vaccinate their kids. I mean, there's people who are high up in office. Yeah. I read somewhere like there's these people who like are in charge of different things, and like some of the doctors that created some of these vaccines, like they won't vaccinate their kids, because they know what's in those vaccines. So,
well, that right there, if there is anyone in the higher ups of those organizations that aren't going with the stuff, that like aren't supporting the things that they are producing or that they're putting out there, that's reason enough to really question it hard.
Yeah, and that's the problem, though, is no one does, because that kind of stuff doesn't make the news, because no one will talk about it.
Yeah. Or also,
And
I guess you can think about that too, is a lot of higher ups and school board members and stuff like that, their kids are in private schools. They don't use the public school systems. They don't use the standardized testing. They do alternative educations, and
They're
and other things.
homeschooled,
Yeah.
and it gets really interesting. We start going down the rabbit hole. But I'm just interested to see where this Ebola thing is going to go, because now he vomited. Like, it went from like, we got this contained. Oh, now he vomited, and like, what's next? Like, what's coming next? Like, what's the next fear cog that they're going to start spinning? It just gets to be a little frustrating.
It's one after another.
Yeah, because like now it's like really the story is evolving like this. Like what does that information do for us? It just makes people more afraid.
Yeah, like it's just like an unnecessary addition to the story.
Right.
You can definitely go without it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that the media does. It really spins up the hype on these things. It really makes them much more frightening.
Was it you that posted the picture? It was like, oh look, my favorite holiday. The news declared our new enemy.
Yeah, it is that, and that's what it is. Each and every single day, there's like a whole new thing now. Like we went from ISIS to like that other group that was worse than ISIS, now back to Ebola, and it's like there is no break from things to be afraid of.
Views are up.
And this thing, my teacher Connie Newton sent out this newsletter about a month ago, and in the newsletter she talks about we're going to be experiencing, these severe nature events like tornadoes and earthquakes and volcanoes, and then you see that whole thing in Japan with the right. And then I was checking like the services, because she talks about the San Andreas Fault that goes all the way up the southeastern seaboard.
Yeah.
And I go onto the South Carolina Emergency Services page. I just want to see what they have here, if they have an alert system. And then I saw that in, I think it's November, they're doing the largest, either late October, early November. I'll have to check the dates and post it. But the largest earthquake drill ever for the southeastern seaboard.
And I thought they couldn't predict earthquakes.
Well, that's the thing that's kind of terrifying, is that she says, pay attention. There's potential for earthquakes on this fault line, and here we are running drills on this fault line.
Yeah, that we've never really run drills on before like that.
Right, and that's the thing that I'm always concerned with like, like things like HARP and weather control and those kinds of things, and it wouldn't take much to create an event, because nothing draws people together like catastrophe.
Oh yeah.
But we're due for like some big stuff. We're like due for some big hurricanes. We're due for some big earthquakes here in the States. Like we haven't had like big stuff happen here in a while.
We had those tornadoes last year.
Well, the tornadoes are those are pretty consistent though. We get a lot of like tornadoes, but like Hurricane Hugo, like one that really destroyed, like, because here in South Carolina we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of Hugo, and back then we had 250,000 people to evacuate off of the coastline.
How many now we have now?
Yeah, now we have like over 1 million people. So and the damage that did, and now these cities are much more populated. So I don't know. Like I think we're due. Earthquakes especially. Like we haven't like had those kinds of earthquakes here in the South. We had that little tiny one in D.C. and like people freaked out. We didn't know what to do because like we're not prepared for earthquakes.
No, not at all. I was like, everyone was freaking out about that. I was freaking out about that. That was bizarre.
Yeah. So
how long was the monument the Washington Monument was under construction for a long time because of that.
Yeah, and like the National Cathedral got damaged. So like, it's just not prepared for that, and it wouldn't take much more than a little poof, and like this whole like house of cards comes crumbling down, and then you got people trying to like break into the White House successfully.
Yeah, got up pretty close to the Oval Office, didn't he?
Yeah, something like that. And then they found like bullet holes in one of the windows.
Really?
Like, yeah, like where the little girls play and stuff. So it's like, what's the Secret Service do? I mean, it's almost like you can't not think that we're trying to create, like, we're just throwing out all the stops. Like, we're gonna have some catastrophe somewhere. You know, we're gonna have Ebola, we're gonna have a terrorist attack, the president's gonna get hurt. We're gonna have something happen. You know, it's like someone saying we need some big event, and all the events just keep failing. Like nothing really like takes hold. But like, damn it, we're gonna have some big event somewhere.
The whole White House, the group of Air Force One is going to go down with all of the White House, the vice president, everyone on board, and Boner's going to take.
Oh my god. Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like people are like, oh, we want to get Obama out of there, but like,
who do you want in instead?
Like, you think
Ron Paul's not going to end up there?
Yeah, it's like, it's just scary because, you know, it makes me wonder like the direction the next person who gets in there is going to take us, because we've already gone in a pretty shitty direction so far. It's almost like Obama's kind of checked out a bit. You know,
Yeah.
It's like he's like, fuck it, I'm out of here. You know, like, what are they going to do? I mean,
at least he can give us pop before he goes and like lets everything go to shit.
Yeah, you know, but it's almost it's almost like he got really into the celebrity of it for a while.
Yeah.
And now that we're in crisis, you know, Ebola was news 4 or 5 months ago, and now all of a sudden, like, we're really taking, like, it's all too little, too late. You know?
Well, Ebola, that was hot zone. Like that was the terrifying thing in the early '90s.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
they did that movie that was about it, about the little monkey. I forget what it's called. Outbreak.
Was it Contagion?
The movie?
Oh, Outbreak. Yeah.
Outbreak for the monkey. I mean, so we've had movies about it. I mean, we've been warned that this stuff is coming. So
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people talk about movies being like whatever we imagine can be created eventually. So it's like a lot of people talk about like, yeah, if we create movies, these fictional stories, once we put it out there, it can then become reality. It has the possibility to actually manifest in our world, not just in this video world.
Yeah, one of my teachers said once that according to universal law, we have to be warned on some level of an event that's going to take place. So it's almost like the movies come in to warn us that this stuff is happening, but we just look at it as entertainment. So that way when it does show up, we're not so terrified, which is why they say when the ETs come, we're not going to be so taken off by it, because like we've seen so much like in the media that when something like that happens, we're like, oh, here it is. You know, it's not like we've been expecting it. So we're not going to be as terrified of it when it does happen.
Beam me up. I'm ready. Just get me out of here. It's like,
I'm like, are they going to come up anytime soon now? You know, are they going to like show up? I mean,
you're getting kind of to the end of it. It's like,
come on. Like sometimes I just wish like we'd have that solar flare that just knock everything out. Like I wish we just would have something that just like, oh, I guess I see. I knew this was going to happen.
Yep.
Because at least then, like, we can start rebuilding. But it is getting to a point where, you know, I don't know. It's like the world is cracking. It's fracturing. You know, you have Netanyahu going in and like saying all the stuff he's saying, and he's like provoking these situations, and then you have people supporting that, and like he was talking about let's go into Iran because Iran is not supporting it. So like it's like we're looking at these global powers with nuclear capabilities all getting poked, you know, and Russia is just,
they're just sitting back. They're just like, what? Make your move. It's like we're just gonna, whichever direction the tower starts to lean, we're just gonna push it over.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. It's, you know, I don't know.
Well, it's like I feel like China and Russia at this point are just like sitting back and waiting for us to do whatever for them, just to come and sweep in when we just kind of fall apart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all China has to do is call in their debt. I mean, we'll be screwed.
Yeah.
You know,
because like over us.
Because I mean, they pretty much own America. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll probably end up bargaining a few states away before it's all said and done. They can take, Florida and
Michigan.
in Michigan,
You can have Michigan.
republics of China. They'll be like little mini Chinas. I don't know. I still feel like we're on the edge of something terrifying. You kind of get that feeling in your stomach, like when you're in line for the roller coaster, you're not sure if you want to ride it. You're like, oh man, I don't know about this.
So stay in the U.S. or Switzerland, Sweden, Denmark?
I'm thinking U.S., but
Denmark.
U.S. less densely populated and a place where you have a controlled situation where you can like somewhere like I think Midwest is actually like not a bad place to be.
Colorado?
Colorado would be good.
Got the
Colorado, I feel, would
mountain
be.
protection from a lot of nuclear stuff with the mountains and the caves.
Well, no, Colorado's got NORAD, so it's a prime target for big stuff.
But that's also, if NORAD's there, then that means that a lot of the higher ups think it's a pretty safe place.
Well, NORAD's only safe because it's underground. So like everyone above ground is not going to be safe. Like NORAD has like it goes like 300 feet underground or something. So like if you're above the ground, you're like still screwed.
So,
but I think like certain parts of Colorado would probably be good, or even like Arizona and New Mexico. New Mexico, I think, is one of the safest places. A lot of spiritual people I know end up in New Mexico. No water, but also like the water that you're gonna get is still gonna be. I mean, water is gonna get contaminated, especially if there's like a nuclear event.
I'm just thinking there's no water. Like California hasn't had rain in a while.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty screwed anywhere. Like you go, really. Canada? No, I don't know.
Yeah, Alaska.
Oh well, yeah. Although it's like so frontier, like you'll be like,
hey, I mean, if something bad's gonna happen, you're gonna be frontiering it anyways. It's gonna be sweet home Alabama, life on the prairie.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so hard to tell like where to go, like in crisis. But that's something like
southwest Georgia is what I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard lots of different things. I keep hearing it, but I've had a lot of friends of mine end up in New Mexico. And according to a lot of the spiritual stuff I read, like New Mexico, Arizona, even though there's those droughts, they're still safer.
What about South America? No one ever talks about like South America. There's nothing in the news about it ever.
Yeah, South America though is so war torn. It has many conflicts, and like the poverty levels are so high. And then the jungles are just so inhabitable. I mean, unless you know what you're doing. Patagonia, I guess. Yeah.
Earthquakes.
Yeah, I mean, like volcanoes.
Yeah.
Like giant snakes and spiders. I mean, I guess like everywhere is like going to be just terrifying. The best thing is like just trust your intuition.
Yeah.
Like one of the things you can do intuitively is sit with a map and say, in the moment of crisis, where is the place that I should be in order to establish connection, and to establish roots. Like where should I be in order to do that? So I think there is space for that. There is space for us to ask those questions because people don't ask until like it's too late.
Yep.
And like if you're walking to Colorado, you gotta know how to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part we forget is you might so people I guess are watching but they can't join. There should be a link on the video itself to join the conversation.
There is.
So if you're watching, you just have to click on that little link.
I think people want to join into the chat, but aren't trying to join the video.
Yeah, I don't have access to any of that, so I can't really tell you what it is.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything on my part.
Yeah, like, by next week we'll figure it all out. I mean, we'll
Yeah, but
have a better idea.
I like this format. I think that we just need to play with it and we can get it to work a little
Yeah,
better.
we'll like figure it out. I think a little tweaking, we'll get it where it needs to be, and then like we can have people come on and like share their ideas and their thoughts. So I know AJ Galloway, shout out to you because I know you're trying to
Yep.
get on,
And Kaylee
but
Benjamin.
yeah. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, there is a link. I mean, I push play on the YouTube page. I mean, on the Facebook there, on the link, you can video plays up like on the Facebook
From
wall.
from YouTube, there's a like one of those like ad banner pop outs.
Yeah,
Like should be like right there.
yeah, and it says join the
It says be
conversation.
part of the conversation. Click here to join the audience. Oh, join the audience.
Yeah, see, this is what I was telling you with the Google Live is
Hmm.
I think there's another way to do this, but I don't know it. Because this is where I was like trying to figure out like how people can like join the conversation. But I don't know. It's we're still new with this format. We're not quite sure what's going on, but we're figuring it out. Um, because I know there is a way to
Make this available.
to make it join conversation um, that we're having.
Yep.
But I am not that gifted. Like I can tell you how to connect to your intuition and how to meditate and how to do all that lovely stuff. But I cannot tell you how to join this conversation with us because I am not that good at technology, and my technology just hates me.
Yep.
So
It seems to not be
we're
participating today.
yeah, my technology is just not. It's already in Mercury retrograde.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So explain to people what that is briefly.
Mercury retrograde means that all communication is going to go to crap here pretty soon, and it already has on many levels. Just Michael, which isn't responding because you're putting a yeah. I think that's the thing is this is a show versus an interactive chat.
No, it's
So we'll have to
a
look at like,
hangout. It's a Google Hangout.
but I think like there's a way to do a hangout where it's people can join in the conversation. There should be like a way for us to broadcast. I don't know. And I'm not gonna pretend like I'm gonna talk my way into like figuring this out because this is not gonna happen. I'm not.
Here, try this link.
Like, I'm not even gonna pretend.
I just put a link.
That...
I just put a link in your chat. Give this a try. Sending that to the people. Try this, guys. See if that link works. I just commented on the video, so maybe people can get it that way. Yeah, that Hangout button should work.
I don't know.
You just have to sign into your Google account and give your whole life away.
Basically,
but yeah, I've been reading this book about social interaction and like how networking and big data affects people's decision making. Mm-hmm. And one thing that these researchers from MIT, and one thing that they've come to the conclusion of is it's not necessarily your direct interactions with people that influence your decision making. It's the indirect interactions with the people in your larger group. So it's not like me and you talking to each other or even talking to the people listening that have the effect on people. It's those people then talking and other people overhearing them. So it's the overheard conversations that actually apparently are having have more of an effect on your decision making.
So that link that you said you were just posting to their chat, post it on my Facebook wall, because people are asking me in my, I don't have access to those links in my.
I posted it on the YouTube page.
Posted on my Facebook wall.
Got it.
So there's people who can get it through there. So just post it to my wall, and that should give people some access. Because I unfortunately, I'm seeing your messages pop up on Facebook. I don't have full access to my computer right now. So.
Got it. Yeah. So I posted it on your wall. It is posted in the comments section on our live stream on the YouTube page. And
so AJ, I can't send it to my Facebook messengers because I don't have access to it. So someone should be on my wall. So go to the wall, check my Facebook wall. Taylor just posted it there, but I can't cut and paste and stuff. My computer's locked up, so I can't do any of that. So unfortunately, I cannot participate in that, and I'm just not even gonna bother with the computer right now because it's just been frustrating.
It's not working.
Yeah, so I'm not even gonna pretend that the computer is my friend at this moment. It's already in its Mercury retrograde. So what were you saying about your social interactions book? What's it called?
Yeah, no, I was just oh man, I'm terrible with names. This is my ongoing issue. It is called Social Physics: How Good Ideas Spread and the Lessons from a New Science.
Wow.
So it's by an MIT professor and written, I think he had help, he had some co-authors on it as well. But yeah, it takes big data. So data logged from, this is where people get a little weird about it, data logged from cell phones and from chats and from companies, like especially like telecom companies, where they have like internal communication systems. And it's about the interactions and just tracking and seeing what we can determine about how people interact, how creativity is spread, and how people can make better, more informed decisions and increase productivity and creativity with each other by how they interact within their groups. So basically the conclusion, I'm almost a little bit more than halfway through it, and basically the conclusion that I'm getting from it is, by not having any kind of hierarchy system, just having everyone have equal say and bouncing ideas off of each other is more beneficial for creativity and for businesses and companies for creating growth within the company.
Right.
Which, common sense, but it's just solidified with data backing.
Right.
So.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting reading about that.
Yeah, this books are always great because I think we need more guidance on like how to interact with each other and what those interactions can do, and how we can. There's a really great book called Influence, and I forget who the author is, but he talks about how media influences us, but how we can also become influencers in our communities and whatnot. So we'll give everyone a few more minutes to join in if you want to come in and actually share. Check my Facebook wall. So it's facebook.com/mbrazel, and there should be it should be the first thing on my timeline. So check that out. Click it. It should let you join the conversation. If not, we'll try to hammer this out by next time. We'll see what we can do. I'm also going to set up the teleconference service so that we can also do teleconferencing. So people can just join in that. We can just have like roundtable discussions on the topics, and people can just call in and be part of the conversation. And those will also be recorded, so I can like download those, post them to our blogs and to our Facebook pages as audio files. So there are workarounds for Blog Talk until I can get my system back up and operational, but right now it lets me do 30-minute posts, and I may just do meditations on there because we were like really close to our 200 show on
Really?
Blog Talk. Yeah, we were
Oh man.
seven episodes away from 200 episodes, which is a lot of episodes.
Yeah, that's a lot of time put in there. A lot of
It's pretty
hours.
impressive. Yeah, and we do about an hour, hour and a half each show, so that's a lot of hours of us all talking.
Yeah.
So it's
A lot of chatting.
it's pretty interesting. But I like this format because I think having the
The face-to-face
FaceTime it's important because you don't get that when you're on Blog Talk. I do miss our little live chat room because that was always fun in the Blog Talk, people interacting with each other. And I think that's the thing I miss about that format.
Also a little disappointed. I have to wear clothes now. That's
Yeah.
Before I had the safety of my voice.
Yeah, now you have to dress proper and be sure stuff is clean.
And like make sure everything's put away. Exactly. Yeah. Make my bed.
And usually like I'm multitasking when I'm on Blog Talk. Like I'm working on other things now, like I have to be here. So.
Yeah, because it's like you see the eye contact. It's like I've got two monitors, and it's just like I'm over to the side, and like I notice that I'm like completely having like turned my whole body in order to look at the other monitor, and it's kind of distracting probably for people.
Yeah.
But
so I mean.
We should be used to it. We should be used to it. I mean, we should assume that our cameras are on all the time anyways.
Basically, yeah. If you have a webcam connected, it's probably like always recording you.
Yeah.
Always.
Someone at the NSA is getting off.
Yeah, basically. That's what they do, I believe.
I'm just waiting for the for one of like the deep web porn sites is to release like thousands of hours of NSA webcam porn.
Huh.
Just like all the stuff that someone saved from the NSA that they've just had in their hard drives, and it just got hacked one day. Because I mean, it's bound to happen. Someone in the Vatican just had 100,000 like child porn videos and pictures.
Wow, that's like a lot of. I mean, that's a lot.
I know, like that number is just like how
do you get so much?
Do that? Yeah, like where does that come from? I don't know any way to get that much porn. Like,
yeah, I mean, he has to do like some serious downloading.
Yeah,
it's like
the Vatican's got some Google Fiber over there.
And to even be able to like look at that much porn.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a lot.
That's a lot of porn.
That's a lot of porn. I mean, that's just like a lot. And like some like really nasty old man, it's like and kitty porn that like just got that much.
We got another person. There we go. Kaylee, how's it going?
Hey guys.
Perfect time. Oh, we got another. This is I think like 100,000.
I figured it out.
Okay, so you got to make sure to mute your the YouTube video that's playing.
Wait. Okay, yeah, let me do that.
Yeah, like where to...
Okay.
There we go. Yeah. We got AJ in here also.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Hey.
Oh, this is fun. This is where the real fun starts, guys. So, were you guys listening to most of the show already?
Yeah, we definitely heard. Well, at least I heard. I didn't know if
Kaylee.
What is Kaylee? I don't know if she heard any of the show.
Yeah, I heard a little bit of it. I heard most of it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So, do you guys have anything that you wanna jump in with?
Where did we take off?
Well, we talked about Ebola. We've talked about meditation, deprivation tanks. You name it, we've probably touched on it tonight. ISIS. Vatican child porn.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I think that was the last one that we left off on.
Yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen.
No, that just happened. There was we had like 100,000 pieces of child porn on some Vatican computer.
That's ridiculous. Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, there's so many things you guys talked about tonight that I felt like I could touch on, especially with the ISIS. I thought that was really interesting, and how they're developing and everything. I've been reading a lot about them. So
Yeah, that's been pretty prominent.
yeah.
One of the things that you guys were talking about and looking at places, when I lived in the streets for a little bit, a lot of people were creating communities that were trying to go underground, and it's kind of funny because my spirit's been calling me to Denver, and Denver is one of the major places that has a lot of underground cities. Not only that, when it comes to FEMA taking over, it's one of the major laboratories, I guess you could say, or major concentration camps of everything. But something is calling me to that area, and I feel like, in a certain aspect, that HARP or other corporations in itself are creating a place to where like-minded people are being sent there for a reason, and then it's going to be basically entrapment. And and so people are led there for a specific reason, and that intent was sent out there for a place to where it's like, okay, well, Colorado can legalize weed, Colorado can do this, Colorado can do that, but you have all these like-minded people that are very spiritual in one aspect, and then once a certain thing, martial law, is set, then you control the people, and it becomes nullified, and you have everybody in one area. And it's very weird because I have a feel like, and I don't know why I've been feeling this for a while, but I feel like I need to go out there, number one, for a spiritual purpose. I don't know why it's been calling me, but I've always listened to Spirit, and when it says I need to go, I need to go. Number two, the government and the way that things are set up. I mean, if you know anything about the Bilderberg Group, or you know anything about the way that basically society is run, everything is kind of mapped out on the way that things are supposed to be, and all the officials get together and they make decisions on to what is going to go down for the conglomerate, for world domination, for the one world government, for it to be a thing to where if there's any opposers to this, then we will go ahead and take care of that. But everybody has to be on one side. So these are all decisions that have been made. So now we're just kind of playing out and watching things in retrospect, looking at it. And us as U.S. citizens, I think that we, and even as spiritual people, I think that we miss the mark as to what's going on, and if we do realize what's going on, what part do we play in it? And I think that it's a big thing. I mean, we can create change, but this is also decided between this has a long history. This is not something that is just thought up, just come about.
Come on all of a sudden.
Yeah, no. This has roots, man. This has roots.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So it makes it very difficult because a lot of people have, they basically have ideas, and they want to make sure. My idealist thing in going out to Denver is living in basically an earth home.
Earthships, right?
An earthship. That's what I definitely want to do. I don't want the government to be a part of anything that I do. I want to get back to nature. I want to get back to the things that the way that it used to be and the way that society should run, to be honest with you. And yesterday I went to Red Lion Pub, which is here in Orlando, Florida, and it's a place where there's just a lot of spiritual people, hippies. I got some. Let me show you what I got. I got a little pouch, and in the pouch I bought this from a girl. It was my piece, so it was amazing. And one of the things that she gave me before anything was this stone right here, but it's mapped out like a little skull. It's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And it's obsidian and some other things, but then this is what really captivated just my spirit, and I bought it off of her just because it was like, I always support people that are trying to do what their life purpose is. So This is actually a pendulum, but the pendulum, hold on one second, it's rainbow color, and I'm gay, so it kind of like that.
I
And
like the
it
rainbows.
has, yeah, it has different stones within inside of it, and then it has a key. And so the key is, to me, the representation of the chakras or the spiritual energies. The pendulum, it unlocks that. So what I want to do is I want to create a gold chain, just like if you studied Kabbalah or anything like that, turning lead into gold. Gold being the
Yeah.
higher representation of being illuminated. That is exactly what I want to have around my neck. So I mean, it was just perfect. It was perfect in every sense of being. But I feel like with everything that's going on in the world today, it's going to take a major change between the people and them not being affiliated with any government officials. It just everybody's standing up and saying, we're tired, we're done, we see what you're doing, and we see how it's been created, and we've had enough. Like like this is now. But the problem is that people have families, people have things that they feel like they need to go ahead and do, or what their purpose is. And sometimes it's like they fall short in seeing the big picture and the love and the understanding of everything, and that's a sad thing.
Well, I think it comes
Looks
down
like
to fear.
well, that's where they're pulling all the stops. So you can see where now we have, this country is at its highest point of racial tension, since the civil rights movement. We are at crisis now with going back into war because of a perceived terrorist threat. So we've elevated our threat levels again because of perceived threat. And it's interesting that the group, they had ISIS first, and there was a subgroup underneath ISIS that was much worse than ISIS that went dark. And it's funny that they went dark right at the moment where we needed to have more support in pushing for this war to take place. And the fact that they said we're not going to have boots on the ground is ridiculous. We're going to end up putting boots on the ground here eventually.
Yeah, we got
And
drones.
now all of a
It's
sudden,
okay.
yeah, we have drones and like planes, but but none of the other countries want to put boots on the ground. So who's it going to fall on? It's going to fall on us. And now all of a sudden we have Ebola. So it's like we have so much stuff all at one time that it's almost ridiculous to think that it's not orchestrated on some level, because
Exactly, and it is.
yeah.
It is.
It's just too much happening too quickly, and I think that's what feeds into our distraction, which is what keeps us all, bound. And a lot of us think just by posting stuff on Facebook about how terrible things are that we're doing something, and that really isn't doing anything.
Right.
We have to call our congressmen, we have to call our senators, we have to get out in the streets and protest, we have to interact with each other like this. We have to have conversations that are impactful and meaningful. But just posting stuff on our Facebook walls doesn't absolve us of the responsibility of going out and doing something. We don't have this old style activism anymore. We don't have that stuff anymore. It's somebody signed a petition on my Facebook wall, post it, like this.
Hi, Bonnie.
Post.
Just want to say hi. I see you.
Yeah, no. Well, speaking of movements and of taking action, have you guys heard of the People's Climate March that just took place in New
Oh
York?
yeah, the 300,000 people that
That's
no
awesome.
one talked about.
Actually, 400,000. 400,000.
Really? That's a lot of people for
400,000.
nobody to talk about.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
it
was
was like-
actually I was gonna say I was lucky enough to actually participate. It was really amazing.
Oh, you were up there in New York for that?
I was, yeah.
Oh, awesome. How was that? Like,
It was really great. You really are not gonna see that, very many times
well,
in
we
your
got it.
life. I'll tell you. There was, yeah. Well, I hope so.
Let's see some more
But,
of that. Let's make that happen.
I mean, they only estimated, I think, 125,000, and over 400,000 people showed up.
What's funny,
people
you
were.
don't hear it.
It's that's interesting, huh? Yeah, no. I guess just because of the the things I'm connected with and groups I'm connected with, I hear it, but most people wouldn't. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Well, it's because they weren't passing out iPhones at these events. And if they were passing out iPhones, it'd be all over the news. You know, it's like if someone in that group of 400,000 had bent their new iPhone 6, it would have gotten on the news. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
We have Bengate. I mean, the fact that we have stupid hashtags for this new bending of the iPhone 6, it's just it shows how distracted we are from the issues that are actually important. You know, which is why it's so important for us to be sure that we are, you know, much more than just posting on our walls, but actually going out and talking to people about. I recently heard Zen Gardner on a, you know, his website is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, zengardner.com, I think is what it is. But he talks about, like, he goes out and his whole mission is to have these conversations with people, to actually talk to them about chemtrails and to talk to them about the stuff the government's doing, to talk to them about spirituality, because it's only through those discussions that we actually create, you know, positive impact. You know, it may not totally shift the other person, but you're planting seeds. You know, wearing T-shirts that have positive messages on them, or activist-centered messages. Like Paradigm Shift has the Paradigm Shift buttons in the T-shirts. You know, so anything we can do to effect change just by being present, we need to start doing those things, because we need solutions. It's great that we have all this awareness about ISIS, and
the awareness is there. People are aware, and the awareness will come, but the solutions are the hard part. The implementing action, that's what we're at the point. We've always been at the point, but we're really at the point
really
where that just needs to happen.
Is it really that hard?
Really good question.
Surprisingly,
apparently it is.
People don't want to be the first ones to step out. They don't. It's all scared. People are scared of doing it.
Well, for the system to change, for systems to change, people have to lose power.
Yeah.
And people are not giving away their power easily. So, you know, because I saw recently that there was this nurse in Africa who saved her entire family from Ebola without anything but, like, you know, trash bags and sheets. You know, she nursed them back to health herself, you know. So it's possible to do it without Big Pharma getting involved. But, of course, now they're going to get involved, and they're going to do test trials on people. I mean, it's you know, I think that's the thing is people are afraid to stand up to the system because they feel they're one voice. But the system should be afraid of us, not the other way around. And we got it so backwards in this country.
There are a lot more of us.
I've been watching a lot of films lately, and I've watched Gandhi recently because I wanted to know about his life and I wanted to know about his history. And I noticed a lot of similarities when it comes to people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi and Jesus, and, you know, just a lot of other people that have been elevated to that level. They had to go against the system. They had to go against the system, but they used nonviolence, number one. Nonviolence was what it was. It was all about love. It was all about understanding. And they stood firm no matter what adversity they faced. And I think that that's what needs to happen in this situation when it comes to government problems that have really gone on. When it comes to face, like, government issues and things that have gone on that we're like, we don't want to take this anymore. We see what you're doing. We see what's been going on. We've been bamboozled, but nobody's saying anything about it. There needs to be a conscious revolution, but done with nonviolence, to create change and to promote that. That's my personal opinion. That's the way things get done. That's the way things get done in society. And even with the civil rights movement and things changing, you know, India was liberated from Britain, and, you know, blacks were freed from the slavery that we were indoctrinated in for a long time in the United States, based on all of these ideal issues that people have gone ahead and said, this is what it is, I took a stand, but all of them lost their life. They knew that taking that stand meant, I'm going to lose my life. This is just what's going to happen. But in that, I believe in it strong enough to say that I'm going to make that change. And so, I mean, it's going to take that person. That person could be you, Michael, or it could be me. It could be any of us. but something's gonna have to happen soon.
I think that there was, like, back in that time, there was one person that had to make that stand, but I think that the thing about today is, like, what I keep talking about is that we have this network that we've created. I don't think it has to fall on one person's shoulder. I think that maybe one person has to be the one that creates the forum to make that dialogue begin, to actually make that change happen. But when it comes down to the actual action being taken, I don't think it falls on one person's shoulder. We're seeing it in Hong Kong right now.
Well, this is the deal. This is the reason why I say that, is because if it didn't fall on one person, then it would be done already. Since we have the forum, we all have the knowledge, but nobody's taking that stance. So it takes one person to be radical enough to be able to have the voice and the knowledge behind the voice, and to be able to get into and infiltrate those systems that are there. And once that's laid down, then people follow. That is the reason why the social media is good. That's the reason why this is a good a precipice for understanding and for things to grow. So I mean, I can see what you're saying, but one, it takes that one, because you are that one. I am that one. We all are that one. But
well, it's like what they call bystander syndrome. It's like you see an event happening, everyone thinks that someone else is going to do it.
Right.
So it takes us to engage that network, and we have to, like when I created Soul Interaction Radio, it was because I noticed there were holes in what I needed to hear in my spirituality. So I thought I'd create something to fill those holes, to bring something that was a little bit less fluffy and less, holding back of the punches. Because we need to have these things out in the world, and these shows are archived, and they'll be out there forever. And it's important to create those drops in the pond. The thing that I do find with social media, though, is it's an entrapment. It gets us in there, we engage the network, but then we become distracted by the other things that are on the network.
Right.
So it does require us as individuals to create that movement and to feed it, but we have to realize the movement has nothing to do with us. It's like Harvey Milk and Gandhi and once they're taken out, the movement still goes without them. And that's the test of a movement.
Right.
Will it still move? Like if Skull Babylon stopped doing Paradigm Shift Radio, would Paradigm Shift still exist? That's the test of the movement.
And like I had mentioned before, on a prior show, and Michael, we talked about this, when I had done the Gay Straight Alliance in Florida, once I left Colonial, it went on for a few years until the teacher got fired. And then after the teacher got fired, he went to another school, and my ex-boyfriend ended up being one of his students. And it was kind of crazy how that whole thing worked. But the movement still went on, and it died down for a little bit, but it got brought back up. And once you create that sense of change, and somebody knows that, hey, this person did it, and I can do it too, and I just have to step into that, then it becomes something that there's been a creative movement that's gone on that will always persist. Because people have a sense of knowing that if this person did it, I can do it as well.
Well, that's the thing we need to create empowered responsibility, where people feel they're empowered enough to take responsibility and to be those way showers. It takes a lot for people nowadays to interact with people offline. I mean, we, as beautiful, and Taylor and I think we talk about these almost every episode. Our disconnect on on social media, but it has changed the way we connect with people on an interpersonal level. It's harder for people to have conversations offline, but that's where impact also happens. And we need those people on the streets just as much as we need people online engaging that network. There has to be greater balance in how we, there has to be those people marching in the streets. You have to be one of those 400,000 people in the streets, but you also have to be the person that's creating the Facebook event pages for that. Right. There has to be that balance. But I find that a lot of times too, we get leaders who come in who want to just hold the power, and it's not about that. It's about, we have to empower everyone else to also go out and be leaders. And I think that's,
but it's also the message. It's also the message. The message has to be fair and I mean, there's no power without there being something you're fighting against. And the message is a clear thing. So what is it that we are really trying to say?
Well, I think that's the problem, is we're not really trying to fight against something, we're just trying to affect change. When you fight something, you're going up against the war. The idea is we don't want to fight a system that's much bigger than us, but we want to promote something that's much more effective than the system. So you don't fight war by fighting war, you promote peace. You know, you don't want to fight something, because when you fight it, and I learned this through, you know, animal rights activism, you're not going to fight the agribusiness system. You're never going to take it down. But what you do is you promote the idea of health and the idea of compassion. And that's what changes people's minds, because that is what gets people to understand that it's their responsibility to take on that role by just living the experience. They're not there to fight the system. They're there just to live life a little bit differently. And when you give them the responsibility and the power to do that, the system becomes affected by that. Every person that goes vegetarian saves 100 animals a year. And that affects the larger system.
I like meat, though. I really do.
But that's just one example. But it can be, it could be anything, right? It can be, us doing something with social activism, or it can be something environmental activism.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. I got for the summer I had an internship, and I was working for U.S. PERG. If you guys have heard of that, anyone?
No, what is it?
I don't know. So we were the U.S. Public Interest Research Group. And so what we were doing is we were political activists, and we would go door to door every single day, just trying to inform people and make them more, like a little bit more aware about what's happening. And the one that I got to work on was factory farms and the overuse of antibiotics. And the responses I would get from these people were really interesting. A lot of people either knew or they had no idea. But
they were either
luckily,
aware and didn't care, or they were just like, what?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I saw that all the time. I was actually pretty lucky. I was campaigning in DC, so people had a good idea of what was happening. But it was really interesting how many people wouldn't even want to sign a petition, let alone contribute anything. So that was just really interesting to just kind of like poll and see what happened when I would just give them a little information and see what their response would be. So
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's
almost
the
like
hard part, is just like people don't want to be the one. They just don't want to step up to the plate. They feel like even signing a petition is like putting
and in a way, it seems like, to me, it just seems like everyone is deliberately blinding themselves in a way. They see these issues, but they're kind of trying to push it away and ignore it until it really becomes detrimental, and then we have to do something. It seems like that seems to be the general flow of everything, which is, discerning a little bit.
Well, Steve Harvey, who's a really great spiritual author, said in his book about spiritual activism, what is it that makes you get up in the morning? And that's your cause. You should think about, like, what is the thing that's my cause? Like, even though I'm not as active with the animal rights organizations, like, animal rights activism was something I did for 3 years, so those issues are still very important to me. So those are things that I will speak on when the time comes, and if the time comes up. But I think what I have found working in that environment is that people are afraid of the big systems, and there was actually these laws that were passed that prevented certain types of activism. The fact that the U.S. government considers, leafleting a form of terrorism You know, and
What?
it's actually, yeah, Homeland Security considers leafleting a form of terrorism, you know, domestic terrorism, depending on the group that's doing it. Like I've been followed by, you know, the FBI vans and stuff. So, and all we were doing was passing out information, because information is powerful, and empowered people have information, and it's the information that gives them responsibility and the ability to make change. So, you know, information is very dangerous to big corporations, and you know, and at one point there were some of the agribusinesses were going after activists for causing intellectual damage, you know, which is insane. But they make examples of certain people to quiet the masses down. But we have to realize that we have to rise up, even with the fear of going to jail, even with the fear of loss of life, because if we don't take that responsibility, the next generation is going to suffer, because we haven't done a really good job. You know,
Yeah.
we really haven't, you know. And even though we do have things like, we can look back on like Occupy and some of the global environmentalist movements and even some of the animal rights movements, we really haven't done a good job. We haven't been good stewards of responsibility. And that can change. We can always change that dynamic, and we can always say, I'm going to affect change in my environment, and I'm going to do all that I can. I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to start a radio show. I'm going to get on YouTube and talk about things. I'm going to talk to people about these issues because they're important, and people need to know. You know, I wear animal rights shirts out all the time, and people are always asking me questions. You know, oh, you're vegan. Oh, you're vegetarian, and then it opens up a conversation. Oh,
Yeah.
you're an environmentalist. You know, what's the issue? Or like, you know, what is your
I guess that's the
that
hardest
gets you
thing
up
for
in the
me
morning?
is figuring out just like a specific thing to focus on. It just seems like there's so many things that I want to change and that I want to have an effect on, but yet I can't figure out what it is I want to, like, that I should push for first.
Right. Well, that's
Like if I do the animal rights, if I do the politics, if I do what.
Well, we can do it
What do I
all,
jump
but
onto?
the thing is, there's always going to be one thing that calls you more than everything else. You know, there's these issues that are the most important in your life. Like, what is the thing that gets you up in the morning? Like, what would be the thing that if you could step into that would, you know, that if you could see that thing change? It's like, there are already people doing this, there are already people doing that, there are people doing this thing over here. And our voices are important in all of those things. There's always one thing that really just is your thing. You know, it's like the thing that you can speak on, like, from the heart, because you know the issue inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
It is the thing that you could be a leader in, because you've taken the responsibility to learn all there is about this thing, and you're still learning, and now you can empower others to also awaken in their own sense of responsibility. So that's the thing. That's the thing you end up doing. And it requires us to ask, you know, because the problem is there is just too much.
Yeah.
You know, we try to do it all, and you can't do it all. You just can't.
Nope.
It's impossible. So you can do one thing really well, and then maybe try something else, and then give that all your all, you know, and then do something else and give that your all for a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when we overwhelm ourselves with the enormity of the problem, we shut down. You know? And then we just like, I'm going to share this, and I'm going to like that. Oh, I did my activism for the day. You know, I liked that post by that group, so my activism is done. I'm good. Now I'm gonna go off and watch.
But I feel that that's not a negative though. I feel like it's something. It's you contributing at least a certain part.
Oh
even
yeah.
if it's small, even if it's small and stature, it's still.
It's doing something, but I think we've gone past the point.
We're capable of more.
We are capable of more, and that's the problem. Is that we have, you know, social media has locked us into a paradigm that says that's enough, and that's not enough. And of course, it's wonderful if you like a post or share something, but that's not enough.
Yeah, that's not. It really isn't.
Yeah,
that's true.
And you know, and it's, we can't absolve ourselves just because I signed a petition. I work for a group, and the petitions usually end up in trash cans. Very seldom do petitions actually change things. You know, but people will pass a petition to get Justin Bieber kicked out of the country, but they won't pass petitions to actually do things that matter.
Well, there's two petitions that I have gone ahead. I would agree with that statement in a certain aspect, but one to create the Gay Straight Alliance that I was creating, that one I had to sign a petition. I had to get signatures. That was one of the requirements for it to be known, because if people didn't want it, then they had to know that people didn't want it. And if people wanted it, and it was from a vast majority, then it had to be done. So I think petitioning actually is not a bad thing. When it came down to legalization of marijuana in Florida, medical marijuana, and for the uses, therefore, of people that had cancer or whatever else, I went ahead and joined that coalition and went door to door and did what I had to do to have people sign up. So it and now we're able to have that on the ballot in November for people to be able to vote on that. So I think that petitioning is a very strong thing.
On some levels
useful.
It does,
I think
but in other levels, it is another thing where people do something really small, and it is important to do those small things, but we sign the petition and we're absolved of our responsibility beyond signing the petition. And that's the problem.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that you're
anything that are.
And did we lose her? Is that just me?
Sorry, guys.
Are you there?
Back. Yes. Okay. No, what I was just
cut out there.
Sorry about that. Yeah. No. What I was just gonna say is that more than anything, I think that petitions really build awareness.
Right.
It's not necessarily that they're going to change, some sort of law or, whatever it might be, but going door to door and just talking to people about what what the petition is about and what you're campaigning for does build awareness, and then that will build change. People are going to talk about that, and just that connection and that conversation really will, and might not. I mean, sometimes it doesn't, but a lot of more often than not, if someone's going to talk to you about a petition, you're going to be thinking about that for a while. So.
But that's the thing, is the conversation has to transcend the petition, and petitions are a great door opener. They're a great door opener, and they allow us to do that. But can you still have that same conversation with that petition in your hand?
But
and that's where we start affecting change.
You can still have that same conversation, but petitions by law create change. It's more about, if you want to create change in a bigger aspect, getting people that are going to sign for something that is something that you see that needs to change. To create that sense, there has to be petitions that are done. There has to be people that speak up. So, I mean, just in the law sense, I would not have been able to have my group if I would not have gotten those petitions. If I would have not gone ahead and done the things, put my work into it, and saying that I'm going to reach you. I have this plan, and I want to see if you assimilate with that, or you feel like this is something that you would agree with, or even just condone in that sense and make it okay. And when you sign that, you're playing an active role, as small as it might be, even though you might not have that voice. I've taken a stance in being a leader and saying that I'm going to you, saying that I need something from you. I want to see what your sense is on this aspect or this issue, and if you agree with it, then we can be in agreement together. That's the difference, and that's where I find petitioning is actually not a bad thing. It's not bad at all.
Well, it's not that it's a bad thing, but we require much more than just petitions, and that's what I'm saying. Petitions bring awareness, and by law they do effect some change in certain circumstances. But I've also seen it where lobby dollars are able to kill petitions. And I've seen people who sign petitions but don't show up to vote on the things they put on the petition to vote for. So it requires action steps beyond the petition. It's one thing to sign it and to go beyond that.
People will not. Majority of the time, when it comes down to petitions, just like, okay, for example, the legalization of medical marijuana in Florida, along with John Morgan and others, we've been able to get it on the ballot, at least get it on the ballot, because I feel like everybody should have the right to vote on whatever they want to vote on. and this being an issue that has come up, if the petitions weren't out there and people didn't sign, you had to have a certain number of people sign for the legislative Congress to look at it. So if you don't have those people that went out and petitioned and to get those votes for that, then it wouldn't happen. Now, when it comes to November, now that it's on the ballot, now are those voters going to go out and vote? But let's just take half of that and say no. Not going to happen. But you've already put in a conscious awareness to those people about what you've created. So it's one of those things to where once, maybe it might not be that time, it might not be in that season that things will change, but after time goes on, there might be people that say, you know what, this is a problem, this is something, and it creates a leadership within inside of them to say, you know what, we really do need the bond. So now you have more leaders that you're able to reach because of what you've done as being a leader and bringing everybody into that awareness. And I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Well, it is a good thing, but like I said, it does require conversation beyond the signatures. It requires, us to start doing more proactive engagement of our communities. Town hall meetings where people are actually engaging in discussion and debate on the issues, and inviting our elected officials who, don't necessarily think they work for us, because of lobby dollars, and petitions, do help them see that there are people out there who, are thinking this way, but it's when people show up in mass to let that person know that these are the people here that you're accountable to. And it's harder for them to look away from a mass of people than it is for them to look away from a mass of signatures. And that's where it requires all this stuff to work together. It requires everything to, it's great that we do petitions, and it's great that we raise awareness, and it's great, but, we have to keep the movement moving until it becomes an entity. Like legalization of marijuana is like a nationwide thing now. It's a big thing, and that's great that it's gotten so much movement, and it's like moving on its own now. It can't be ignored, but it's because of all those things. It wasn't just the petitions. It wasn't just this. Because people were taking responsibility, and people were like putting up shops even though they knew they were probably going to go to jail. So it required all of that stuff happening. And this is where I think, things like the bigger stuff like ISIS and this other stuff, it's like we're not holding our leaders accountable for, the jobs they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and that's really the biggest thing, is the accountability on our elected officials. We've let all these people kind of get into office that really aren't representing a lot of our views on how things should be done. They're representing their views and their niche group's views, and helping themselves and their close community. So it does, and I don't think I don't think there's very many people in our government systems, public, like local and countrywide, that are really reflective of even the majority of the country's views, or a large portion of the country's views on a lot of things. Right. And I think that we're at a crossroads, because to an extent voting does make a difference, but at the same time we've seen that it only does so much. Like choosing one person over the other is not really always the best option. Is all of our politicians have to be these cookie cutter people that have never done anything wrong, never done anything against the grain.
The kitty.
Oh,
sorry.
Yes, this is the cat from the house.
I love it.
It was found in the attic.
And who's going to be there forever? So we got about 7 more minutes that we can roll. So let's go
coming
around.
down to it.
Yeah, we're coming down. We've already gone past our normal time, but since we just got people on towards the end, I thought we'd extend it out a little bit longer.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Let's just go around, like do a little round table. Like, what do you want to leave the world with right now? Like, what message do you have for the universe right now? If you could tell the universe something, how are you going to sign off? Like, this is the last thing you'll ever say to the universe. And, like, the comet's coming. Like, what do you say? Go.
Who's going first?
Whoever wants to go.
Start with AJ and go down the list of videos.
Okay. Universe, thank you for everybody that you have instilled in my life and brought knowledge to. And even though I've gone through my struggles, you've always been able to show a different side of things and show love through other people and show yourself. And so for that, I thank you.
Perfect. Bonnie.
Connect. Keep connecting to everyone and place and person and self and source. Thanks, God.
Perfect.
I love it.
I think I'm done. Aho.
All right, Kaylee. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, you guys, how am I supposed to follow up on that? That was awesome. I like what you guys said, so I want to back that up for sure. I like what you said about staying connected. I think that's really important. More connections with everyone, your environments, everything you're doing is going to affect something else. So just try to set an example and, just keep on moving, live in the present, keep on going. Cool. I think that's what I got.
Excellent.
Awesome. You can go, you or me. I'll go. You finish us out and end the show, Mike. But
Perfect.
So I'm just gonna leave everyone with. I think that the big thing from tonight especially is we're at the time where we've done enough talking. I think that it's time for everyone in their own individual groups to really step it up and start implementing the change that everyone's talking about. Those posts, when you see a post about someone talking about GMO crops and or violence happening in the Middle East, that you actually start physically talking to the people around you about these things. You don't just leave it to be a share on Facebook. You don't just leave it to be a signature on a online petition. That we actually start talking to people and start doing what we can to get groups together in the real life to start making these changes that we keep talking about. Things are happening so much quicker that we can't wait any longer. I know for sure, like especially after this hangout, I love this format. I think that this is awesome, getting everyone in here, seeing people face to face, just having all of you guys flashing up on the screen and just being able to have that kind of connection. It's really making me realize how important it's going to be to have that connection in person with talking about these subjects. That I am ready to start pushing these problems and trying to make some change happen, or at least get people to be aware of it in real life, out in the streets, out in public. So I think that we're at our tipping point. We got to make the changes that we all want to see, and it's going to start with us. But that's it. I love you all. That too.
Yay.
So the big thing is, we appreciate you all with your patience and how we've had to jump through hoops to get the show to where it is now. But I think this format I do like, and Taylor and I will hammer out how we want to move things forward. But there's going to be some more.
We don't get to hear how Michael's last words to the universe?
Well, they're coming. I have to close. I'm closing out the show as we do that, because I'll forget. I'll do my last words and then we'll be done. So I have to do the station identification stuff first. So just stay tuned, for people who are watching this in the future, who are watching this via the YouTube, because it's going to be on YouTube. Check back, soulinteraction.com, michaelbrazel.com. You can follow myself and Taylor at our various Facebook pages. And I don't know if you can put those in the notes on the...
I'm going to add a note
figure
to
it out.
Once it gets uploaded, so that'll be available. I'm going to put a MP3 stream up on too. I'm just going to do one of those MP3 downloads.
Perfect.
So
my last from the universe is, just love yourselves. One of the biggest reasons we have so much conflict is we've forgotten how to love ourselves. We get so distracted and we get so far away from actually living our experiences. Life is supposed to be fun. It's not always supposed to be so heavy. We have to enjoy it. This is the only ride we get. We're all going to die. None makes us out alive. And that's the reality. So enjoy these moments. Enjoy the connections we have with each other. Have those connections offline. Get out, meet people, touch the grass with your feet. Get out, look up at the sky more, touch a tree, plant a garden, do something that's tangible. Have experiences that are real. Don't photograph everything that you do. Just have experiences that are just yours. Life is about
Awesome.
living. It's not about us just hiding behind our screens. It's so much bigger than us. And that's the way we really affect change, is we learn to love ourselves. When we love ourselves, we can love other people. And we can love the environment. We can love, because it's not a war. It's an act of love. And when we get back to learning how to love, we really affect change, because change comes through the heart center. It's the center of change. So when we love, we move through the heart. When we move through the heart, everything changes. So as always, you are all loved, you are all beautiful, and you are all divine. So I think that's it. We close it out right at 11 o'clock.
Awesome.
Yay.
Well, good night, everyone.
Good night.
So, yeah,
I'm gonna
night.
sign
Thank
us
you,
out.
guys.
I got the big red button here. So
Big red button.
good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Yeah.